everyone. I have two very short videos for you about the vaccine, and these two short videos, I would like you to take a few moments to view them because they're both very short. But they show you the new technology on how they are going to deliver the vaccine. It's not going to be in the traditional way with the needle. It's a new development that they have called the micro needle patch, and they're trying to make it very, very easy for you to get past your fear of needles. And so please watch so you can be aware of what is coming. Okay? Thank you very, very much.
There are two types of people who go to the doctor: those who hate shots, and actually, there's only one type, because everybody hates needles, right? Well, now injections in your arm are finding strength in numbers. You might soon avoid the flu because of hundreds of needles in you. Here's Adam Yamaguchi to explain.
Getting vaccines and other important inoculations are all part of protecting your body from disease and building immunity against harmful viruses. Luckily, a team at the Georgia Institute of Technology is striving to find a less painful way to deliver these life-saving medicines.
We're motivated to do that in part because vaccines are often given to kids who don't like the needle stick so much. We're also motivated because people in this country as well as around the world don't always have sufficient access to healthcare personnel administering vaccines, and so this is a very simple way to administer them.
He's talking about this, a small patch with not just one needle, but 100 of them, each one dissolving into your skin after applying the patch with little to no discomfort. I headed south to Atlanta, Georgia to meet Mark Prausnitz, a Regents Professor of Biomolecular Engineering at Georgia Tech, to learn more about the development of these microneedle patches.
Welcome to Georgia Tech, Adam. Let's look at some microneedles.
Great.
So in fact, here I've got some pulled up on the screen.
Several times magnified, I would imagine.
Just a few times magnified, and in fact, if we see the real thing,
oh, wow.
It just looks like that. So that little square in there is where all of those microneedles are.
How many needles are in this little patch here?
There are 100 needles, 10 by 10.
Wow.
The microneedles are as tall as just a few hairs are thick.
How exactly does this work?
You take this patch, you would apply it to the wrist. So press it here to the wrist, you push down firmly, then you leave it in place for a few minutes. When you're done, you can peel it off and throw it away.
So inside each of these needles is the medication?
That's right. Here are some microneedles before use. We then press them into the skin for 5 minutes, pull them out, and they're gone.
They just disappear.
A nice feature here is that there are no needles there when you're all finished, and that's an important safety advantage.
The main purpose of this is to administer drugs. What is the alternative to this?
Well, the alternative typically is a hypodermic needle. So, something like that. So that, of course, hurts, a bit scary. And it's also something you can't usually administer to yourself. So that's another important feature, is that you can put a patch on all by yourself. People don't describe it as painful. Some people describe it like if you took some Velcro and pressed that against your skin, there's kind of a roughness that you can feel. So that's the kind of sensation.
Before you landed on this, what were some of the prototypes like?
When we first started out, we used silicon wafers, just like are used in the microelectronics industry, but silicon's really not the best medical material, so we moved to stainless steel, what hypodermic needles are made out of. And we then made a patch that looks something like this, and you can see now a close-up of the microneedles, which are made out of water-soluble materials, like sugar is one of our favorite materials to use.
One of Mark's last big hurdles is figuring out how to mass produce millions of medically safe microneedles.
The flu vaccine patch, we hope, will be available within the next 5 years.
And the sooner the better, for all of us.
This is a scale model of our microneedles. Obviously this is made out of plaster cast and is about 6 centimeters high. Normally a microneedle could be 600 micrometers high, so just greater than half a millimeter in height. And instead of being made from plaster cast, it's made from a hydrogel forming material. So this is essentially a similar material to what soft contact lenses are made from. So it's hard in the dry state, so it can penetrate the skin, but it rapidly then takes in fluid from the viable skin and swells to form a more jelly-like material. And it's through this jelly that we can deliver medicines or pick up biomarkers and medicines that are already in the person's body for monitoring purposes. And if we insert these into a person's skin, it feels like a cat's tongue or a little piece of Velcro or an emery board. There's no pain and no bleeding. If we consider first of all the advantages of microneedles as compared to a conventional hypodermic syringe, then we have the minimally invasive nature of the microneedles. So we're no longer now having a device that will cause pain and potentially bleeding and could actually be stuck into another person either on purpose or by accident. So we don't have the issue of disposal that you would have with a conventional needle and syringe. If we think of microneedles as an alternative to conventional oral administration of medicines from tablets or capsules, we now have the opportunity to improve the bioavailability of macromolecules like peptides and proteins, but also to control the administration of a whole range of drugs over several days. And this could be particularly important in elderly patients, for example, who are on numerous medicines and often struggle to remember to take their tablets. It's vitally important that we're able to visualize microneedles because clearly our eye cannot see them. They're on such a small scale. In this first image, we see a light micrograph of our microneedles that we have gold coated prior to scanning electron microscopy imaging. And we can see the individual microstructures and the base plate upon which they are formed. Our next image shows a scanning electron micrograph of a single microneedle penetrating through the stratum corneum, which is the outermost barrier layer of our skin. And once our microneedles are in skin, they will rapidly take up skin interstitial fluid to form these discrete hydrogel bulbs, and that's what we see in our next image. So even though our microneedles become soft when inserted into skin through uptake of fluid, what we can see here is a microneedle that has been removed from skin. And this indicates that we remove the microneedles completely intact and we do not deposit any polymeric material behind in the skin. And this is what our final two images show. So these are the microneedles inserted into the skin of my former PhD student Martin Garland. In our final image then, we see a 3D rendered image of the entire array of 361 microneedles inserted into Martin's skin. So we can study the depth of insertion of every single microneedle, and this will be important as we follow up and try to develop methods of patient application that are reliable and can be done in the same way by every patient every time.